Welcome into the Solo Shot Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Dom Manna. Happy Solo Shot Sunday edition. I apologize for the wait, but we are here on a Sunday because we got more playoff baseball, and that's something I will never be upset about. The Guardians forced to Game 5 and had an epic finish to that game as well to advance to the ALCS for the first time since 2016. Today, it's an awesome Sunday, not only for those of you like me that had a great time at church, but for all of those in the sports world, because we are inching towards the World Series. We have some really good, exciting storylines for the teams that are still in it. And the NFL season is starting to get into full swing too. I'm wearing my Patriots gear today as the Drake May era officially starts with his pro debut as a starter, at least, against the Houston Texans. Very excited for that and to see how he can develop into a professional quarterback. But before we get into all the amazing baseball news, there was some more sad baseball news this past week. Luis Tiant, El Tiante, unfortunately passed away earlier this week at the age of 83. Not only a Red Sox legend, but a baseball legend, a guy who truly gave his life to the game and for many, many years was dedicated to the sport. As something that his father played over in Cuba, and he took those lessons and played in Cuba and went to the United States and made a life for himself as a ball player. He was 83 years old and unfortunately passed away. Luis Tiant should be in the Hall of Fame. I think it's an absolute sin that he is not in there. This is a guy who does not have the same question marks around him as a Pete Rose as to why he's outside the Hall of Fame. This man had 66.1 career WAR, 229 wins, a career ERA of 3.30. He won 2 ERA titles in his illustrious career and was surprisingly to me when I looked this up, only a 3-time All-Star. He was one of the best pitchers of his era, had amazing regular season numbers, ended up finishing as an MVP candidate multiple years down ballot, as well as a Cy Young as well. Top 5 finishes. Just an amazing career. A guy whose career ERA plus was 114. So 14% better than the pitcher of his day, which in the 60s and 70s was some of the all-time greats. A guy whose strikeouts in his career, 24-16. Very, very impressive. And he walked 1,100 batters. So very, very good control. Only had one season where he had more than 70 walks. And that was a very, very rough 1969 season for Luis Tiant. Luis Tiant gave his life to the game of baseball. He was a coach at an arts institution later in his life, always was around for the Red Sox and Twins and Indians organizations. An absolute legend, a guy who does not get enough credit in the history of the game. But I'm someone who believes that the Hall of Fame has done a very, very good job of deciding what is a Hall of Fame pitcher and what is not. And Luis Tiant is a clear omission, a guy who deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And I do hope that they continue to move him up the list and give him some consideration because his career is worthy of such. I was supposed to go and meet Luis Tiant at a signing in November. He was going to be signing at the Shriner Show over in Wilmington, Massachusetts, and I was going to make the drive up and meet him. So I'm very, very upset about this loss, and unfortunate that I didn't get to meet Louis Tiant in person, because everybody that I know, both ball player, announcer, and fan that had interactions with Louis Tiant said that he was just the best. And whether it is his baseball career or the man off the field, it just appears that he was just an all-time great. So rest in peace, Louis Tiant. He was 83 years old, and I hope Cooperstown calls his name very soon. The division series is now wrapped up. That's why we're doing it Sunday instead of Saturday. And it was an awesome series of baseball, nonetheless. I do feel good. I went from 500 during the wild card round to 750 on my picks in the division round. So I'm going up in the world. And I think that these series played out about how I would have expected. The one exception is the Cleveland and Tigers series, because I thought that Cleveland was going to win in 4 games. I thought they were only going to see Skubal once, and I said that that would be the game they lost. They did lose to Skubal, but they also ended up losing and having to play a game 5 where Skubal, on short rest, was pitching, and he has been absolutely lights out. He had a 24 scoreless inning streak heading into the start, and through the first 4 innings of his start in game 5, it looked like Skubal was going to put the team on his back and carry the Tigers to the ALCS. But then the 5th inning happened, and Tarik Skubal gave up 5 runs to the Guardians offense in that 5th inning, and that was officially the end of the Tigers season. They fell down with the guy who got them there, and that's super admirable. This Tigers run was really, really fun. I know that Tigers fans all over the country were very excited that a team that sold at the trade deadline was able to give them this much hope and excitement down the stretch. There's a lot of young players in that team that should be key cogs for them for years to come. And Tarik Skubal, a Cy Young Triple Crown winner, he is a legit ace and someone that you should be happy that your team is building around moving forward. The Guardians were able to finally have some offense after that being their big question. They were able to have some offense, and Emmanuel Clase recorded his first ever 6-out save to punch the Guardians' ticket to the AL Championship Series. He is the best reliever in the game today, and if he can continue to have these magical moments in the postseason, these big moments where he steps up and shuts the door, he will continue to climb on his way to be the next Hall of Fame reliever after that class of Kimbrel, Jansen, Chapman that we have just seen go by and now are at the twilight of their careers. The Yankees did surprise me because they were able to win in Kansas City. I think that was the real turning point in the whole series. I said it, if Kansas City was able to take 1 of 2 games at Yankee Stadium, which they did, they almost took both games. Game 1 was very tightly contested, and they ended up losing in a bullpen battle. And Game 2, they were able to win at Yankee Stadium. That's why I thought Kansas City was going to take the series, because they were unbelievable at hitting at home up until this point. But the bats were kind of quiet. Bobby Witt Jr., a guy who I was super excited to have that national platform, did not have the series that I was expecting, and especially Royals fans were expecting out of him. And that Giancarlo Stanton home run to win Game 3 just seemed to be the turning point in the series. They were knotted 2-2. Giancarlo Stanton took what would have been a fly ball by most players, but his strength put it over the fence. They won 3-2. Luke Weaver has stepped up and been unbelievable in the closer role when I said their bullpen was a big question mark to me. And the Yankees are advancing to the AL Championship Series. And you got to feel good as a Yankees fan right now, not just from Garrett Cole's performance in the clinching game, but from what you're seeing with Luke Weaver in the bullpen. I was very, very scared of this Yankees bullpen. Clay Holmes, who had been very bad since the All-Star break, has been moving around and has been very effective. And that Yankees bullpen has given up only 1 run so far in the playoffs. So you have to feel really good as a Yankees fan. And I think going forward, they should be favored against these AL Central teams. And it is going to be really exciting to see them matched up against Cleveland, a team that is kind of the opposite of them, the Yankees have the high-end starting pitching at the front of their rotation, and they have an amazing lineup. The Guardians have a much better defensive unit as well as a lockdown bullpen. So you got to have the give and take there of which way do you go. So that'll be really exciting. On the National League side of things, I nailed both series. The New York Mets, a team that nobody even predicted to go to the playoffs, myself included, against the Phillies, who were a World Series favorite, a team that after the trade deadline, I picked to win the World Series. And I think on paper, top to bottom, were more talented than the New York Mets. But there are two things that really matter in playoff baseball, and they stuck out like a sore thumb to me heading into this series. The first thing is pitching, and the Phillies bullpen scared me. A lot of people were talking about how many good names are in the Philly bullpen, all-stars, XYZ. Their numbers were scaring me. And to have an ERA over 11 in the championship series, you are not going to be able to recover from that, especially in a short series, 5-game series. I only went 4 games. And the other thing is momentum. And the New York Mets have the momentum. They have been on a ridiculous ride, something that has been so refreshing and fun to follow. It's not just the superstars getting paid $300 million like Francisco Lindor hitting that grand slam to clinch the win in Game 4. Pete Alonso and Brandon Nimmo are contributing. Mark Vientos has probably been their best hitter so far this postseason. Francisco Alvarez has had some moments. Starling Marte has stepped up in some spots. Jose Iglesias, 2-hit games left and right. This team is awesome, and they're getting it from every single spot. Jose Quintana and Sean Manaea are pitching out of their minds. Edwin Diaz and that bullpen are locking things down. And this Mets team is not going anywhere, folks. They're a lot of fun, and they have their biggest test yet now because the Dodgers were able to brush off the old stigmas for their team in the Shohei Ohtani era now. I said they have to win this first series with Shohei Ohtani. I know the Padres had more momentum coming in. I know the Padres have been the Dodgers' kryptonite in a lot of ways, but the Dodgers with Shohei Ohtani added to that just talented roster top to bottom. I had a feeling they were going to get it done. And the Padres put up a hell of a fight. I have to give it to them. Michael King looks fantastic. Yu Darvish shut him down in his first start of the series. The Padres bullpen had a lot of big moments, and that lineup continued to dig in and get those tough wins. But when you have the highest paid pitcher in baseball history, when you have 3 Hall of Famers hitting in the first 3 spots of your lineup, this is what you're expected to do. You're expected to overcome the adversity. You're expected to find a way and to get things done. And this Dodger team, despite Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Shohei Ohtani not having the biggest series in the world, they did enough to help get them there. And I'm just so excited for Dodgers fans. I'm excited for the sport of baseball that we get more Shohei Ohtani in the postseason. And it was an amazing series. All of that junk aside, the talking back and forth, the baseball thrown into the dugout, all of those things, the Dodgers overcame the adversity and showed that this is a new era of Dodger baseball. Kike Hernandez said it best, where the difference between this and the ones in the past, they don't give a beat. And I can see it with the way they're playing, with the talent they have on this team. It's not just expectations anymore. It's about the vibes. It's about doing what you need to do to win. It's about not getting too low when things don't go your way and you're projected to win the game or the series. This Dodgers team has a lot of momentum going into an awesome matchup with the Mets in the championship series. Now that leaves us picks. Mets-Dodgers game 1 is later tonight. Must-see TV, people. Must-see. I don't care what the Sunday Night Football matchup is. Go watch Mets-Dodgers. Do yourself a favor. Game 1, I do think the Dodgers are going to take game 1 here. I just think at home, Flaherty, I think, is scheduled to start. I think the Dodgers can take game 1. But I am telling you, the New York Mets never say die. My mind is telling me Ohtani bets Freeman. Yamamoto living up to his contract. The talent on this team is ridiculous, and they have vibes and momentum in their own right. The New York Mets are a team of destiny. They are fantastic, and I cannot see anybody stopping the buzzsaw that is the New York Mets. I am picking the New York Mets to win this series in 6 games. I think they lose game 1. I think they come back with fire in game 2. And then when the series gets to Citi Field, oh boy, are the Dodgers in trouble. Is it going to be fantastic for the sport of baseball if I'm wrong and Shohei Ohtani is playing in the World Series? Absolutely. So this is literally a can't lose proposition for me. But if I'm just talking objectively and I'm putting my opinion on the line, I am going with the New York Metropolitans. They are a fantastic ragtag group of guys that have the highest payroll in baseball. Most of that payroll is going to guys that aren't on the team anymore. They're paying Verlander, they're paying Scherzer, they're paying all these guys to not play for them. And it doesn't matter because Jose Iglesias, making the league minimum, is going to get 2 hits a game. This Mets team is on a hell of a ride, and I don't see it stopping here in the NLCS. I think the Dodgers are going to put up a real good fight. I do think there's going to be a game where Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman all just will the Dodgers to victory, but I don't think they're going to be able to do it 4 times against the Mets team. I just don't. And this is the big difference here, moving from the wild card to the DS, and now the DS to the Championship Series. The 7-game series, some teams get a little complacent, and the Dodgers, as good as they are, and as much as they don't give an F, with there being a 7-game series, I have a feeling there will be a little bit more patience. Dave Roberts showed it in game 4 of that series where he was just playing for the next game. And I think that you go back and forth trying to do what you can, and the Mets are going to get it done. They have been unbelievable. Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso in a contract year, Brandon Nimmo, Mark Vientos, all those boys. They're going to the World Series. On the American League side, the New York Yankees have earned my respect. I thought Kansas City was going to be able to punk them, get one at Yankee Stadium, then knock them out at home. And the Yankees did what they were supposed to do. They were heavy favorites in that series. They got the job done. And as much as I'm not a fan of Jazz Chisholm and Alex Verdugo, as guys that don't have to carry the load, they're stepping up, they're making plays, they're scoring important runs, they're making defensive stops. Those are the kind of guys you want as role players on your playoff run. Aaron Judge needs to step it up. But with Giancarlo Stanton swinging the bat the way he is, with Gleyber Torres stepping up the way he has been, Juan Soto being the ridiculously tough at bat that he is every single time at the dish, Austin Wells making his name more of a household one this postseason. The Yankees will and should beat the Cleveland Guardians in this series. But I do think Cleveland, with as good of their offense as they have and as talented of that bullpen, they're going to put themselves in the best matchups possible to take this series 7 games. I got Yankees in 7. I have Mets in 6. Subway Series on deck. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm sure there's plenty of you that are here on the Northeast with me that would love a Subway Series. I'm sure some of you want Shohei versus Judge. And I'm sure there's some hipsters out there that want to see Tigers, Dodgers, or Tigers, Mets. But that's my picks for this series. You know, the Guardians, you know, they could be really fun, and they haven't won a World Series in quite a while. if they make it to the World Series, I think it'll be good for the sport of baseball. A small market team, a Cinderella story of sorts. They've had a fantastic season, have one of the best bullpens we've ever seen. That can get it done in the postseason. So I will not be shocked if the Guardians can beat the Yankees, but they have to beat them 4 times. Not 2, not 3, 4 times. And I don't know if they can shut down that offense 4 different days. Here at the Solo Shot Sports Podcast, we're going to throw it back down the third baseline to this day in baseball history. And October 13th had a ton of great moments in baseball history, whether it be the Boston Pilgrims winning the first ever World Series in 1903, the New York Giants winning the first ever Subway Series that I talked about last week in 1921, the Hall of Famer third baseman Eddie Matthews, a member of the 500 Home Run Club, was born on this day as well. So happy birthday in heaven to Eddie Matthews. And there were some epic newer moments in the postseason with teams winning World Series games and playoff games. The Derek Jeter flip play was on this day. But one of, if not the biggest moments in baseball history happened on this day in 1960. Bill Mazeroski stepped up to the plate against Ralph Terry in the bottom of the 9th inning and hit a home run to win the World Series. 10-9, Pirates win. First ever home run that ended a World Series. And that home run, in a lot of people's minds, carried Bill Mazeroski from a player that would be remembered by Pirates fans forever to a player that will be remembered by baseball fans forever, inducted in Cooperstown in the Hall of Fame. An epic, epic moment in baseball history. A bat that is displayed in a corner in Cooperstown. It does not get its own display with the video and all those things that it deserves. Bill Mazeroski made his name eternal when he hit this home run against Ralph Terry in 1960. And for those of you that agree that Bill Mazeroski probably wouldn't have been a Hall of Famer without hitting that home run, I'm going to make the pro Bill Mazeroski argument for the Hall of Fame. While his 36.5 career WAR is not impressive, he does break the rule of 2,000 hits with 2,016. He was a 10-time All-Star. You don't get a decade's worth of All-Star appearances from being a good player, a Hall of Very good player. You're a real star if you get 10 plus All-Star appearances. He won 2 World Series with the Pirates. 1960, he was the hero. And then again in 1971 with the Pirates. He was an 8-time Gold Glover at second base and has the most putouts by any second baseman in the history of baseball. Second base is not as demanding and as popular as the shortstop position, but it's still a middle infield spot. There are a lot of tough plays, a lot of quick reflexes that you need to make those necessary plays, to be part of double plays, to get out of the way, to get force outs, to make stops, prevent runs. He was extremely valuable during his time. And for second baseman, he ranks relatively high in hits and in Gold Gloves and defensive metrics. So that is the pro Bill Mazeroski debate for the Hall of Fame. I do think that home run put him up peg more than he probably would have been in terms of Hall of Fame consideration. But when that era committee elected him, they weren't just looking at that home run, as magical as it was. They were looking at the whole picture and the contributions that he gave to the game. And Bill Mazeroski is still living with us, and I'm sure he still smiles every single time he hears that amazing call. Before we close out the show here, there's some lessons learned from the playoffs so far. The sport of baseball, as much as you want the stars to be the driving force, it's a game of statistics. They're not always going to be. I'm sure everyone wanted Shohei Ohtani, Bobby Witt Jr., Jose Ramirez, Aaron Judge to be the ones that had all the moments in their team's wins. They didn't. They contributed, but they didn't have those monster series where they just took over. And that's the thing with baseball. No matter what position you play, you're only getting 3 to 6 opportunities with the bat in your hand a game. And depending on the pitching matchup, the luck, the timing, things can not go your way. And that's the difference between baseball and playoff basketball or the NFL, where the quarterback's touching the ball every play, or the stars are getting 20 plus opportunities to score. Baseball doesn't quite have that. And that's, I think, what holds their marketing back a little bit. You can talk about a Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge World Series all day, but there's a world where Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge meet in the World Series, and Jazz Chisholm's the World Series MVP, and Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani go a combined like 2 for 16. That's not out of the range of outcomes. So remember that when you're watching these baseball games, anyone can contribute. Anyone can have these moments, whether it's David Fry's amazing home run to help force a game 5 in the DS. All these different players that have contributed in the bullpen with clutch hits. Playoff baseball, you just can't predict it. And that's kind of the beauty of it to me. These teams are playing for their baseball lives. They're playing for the glory. This is what we play for. I talked about it last week. It's for these games that matter. The whole marathon of a season, all the long games, the double headers, the short weeks, the travel, it's all to make these games. It's all to take home the championship for their legacies and for the fans that have given them hope and support all season long. So make sure you watch these championship series matchups. They're 4 of the best teams in baseball right now, and it's great for the sport of baseball. I think both these series go 6+ games, and we're going to have a lot of baseball to watch here. I appreciate you guys tuning in on this Sunday experience of the Solo Shot Sports podcast. I will be back with my next episode once the championship series are concluded, and I'll give you my thoughts heading into the 2024 World Series. Make sure you like the video and comment below what you think of my picks, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.